morning, everyone. Today's topic comes from an experience I have had many times in my one-on-one sessions. And yes, a lot of my topics come from that. After so many years of meeting with people one-on-one, you really start to see patterns arise. And we're much more alike than we think we are. We're probably much more alike than our egos would like because we really love to feel special. But I hear the same stories over and over and over. And I hear the same phrases over and over. And one of these phrases just this week has shown itself to me, and I've been uncovering things behind it. So the phrase is in the world of, I can't trust my heart. My heart leads me astray. I can't follow my heart anymore because it has led me astray. It has done me wrong. It has led to heartache. Okay? So it's a belief system that says, at some point I followed my heart, and in following my heart I was hurt. So now I can't listen to my heart anymore. Think for yourself. Have you thought these things? Have you said these things out loud? I don't trust my heart. I don't trust the messages from my heart, right? These are the kinds of things I hear. So I really thought about it, and I was like, okay, so wait a minute. What do we mean we can't trust our heart? I'm assuming that by that most people mean when they make an emotionally based decision. And what they do is they put that on their heart. They put that like, I can't trust my intuition. So there are a couple of things I want to do here. First of all, I want to say that really intuition is different than emotion. So intuition is like our knowing, our inner knowing. For those people who believe, in God, maybe even like the still small voice, or your guides, your angels, it's that thing that's like, ooh, I need to do this. It's a knowing. Acting from emotions is a different animal altogether. And I would say that it's probably accurate to say that our emotions cannot always be trusted to have our best interest at heart. It doesn't mean they never can be, but let's kind of parse this out to see what's going on, because what I think people often mean when they say, I can't trust my heart, I was acting from my heart, is that they were acting from their wound. I think a lot of us could look back at decisions we've made. Look at your first marriage. For those of you who have a first marriage that's ended, look at that. When you look at the place you were in and the emotions you were experiencing and what part of you was up front or at the forefront when you made the choice to get married to that person, what was at play? And I think often what is at play is our wound, not our deeper knowing. In fact, if you're able to look back, right? Hindsight is 2020. If you're able to look back and see it more clearly now, you'll usually see something along the lines of there was emotional attachment. Or I made the choice to take that job out of fear, right? Not the inner knowing. So why do we do this? Right? Why do we make our choices from wound? And what do I mean from wound? Well, a wound is something where this is the simplest way I know how to put the word wound. It's something where we are in illusion. There is an illusion when we are in wound. So it can be anything from I'm not worth anything, right? Which is a lie, which is an illusion, to I'm unlovable, also a lie, an illusion, to nobody ever cares about me. Well, that's completely not true. Everybody always uses me. Also not true. Can you start to get, it's the belief systems behind that. It's the wounded piece of ourself that believes a lie. So let's say that the wound is nobody will ever love me for who I am. Let's take that as a wound for an example. Then what happens when that is unconscious is it just feels true. And we may not even know that we believe that exact thing because it will just be the filter through which we filter life. So if there was someone who believed that nobody was ever going to love them for who they really are, what will happen is that they will actually be drawn to people and attracted to people who will not love them for who they are. So that because that wound filters for that. So it continues to create situations where it can be correct, where it can be true, so that you can say, see, nobody loves me for who I am. Even more insidious is that sometimes with that wound, somebody does love us for who we are, but we can't see it. And we'll continue to sabotage that until they don't. And then we'll say, see, I told you. Nobody will ever love me for who I really am. So, this is a tricky one. Because again, like the other things that we talk about sometimes on these videos, is it doesn't like to be seen clearly. When I'm listening to a client speak about these things, I have to listen between the lines usually to hear what their wound is, because it will stay hidden, and even deeper, you guys, is it will mutate. So let's say that the wound is nobody ever listens to me. I'm not heard. And you guys know I've struggled with this one. Well then, so let's make it personal. So then what do I do when somebody totally does listen to me? Like I have an experience where somebody really sits there and really listens and does their reflective listening and creates space and does all the things I want them to do, which P.S. Gideon has done for me hundreds of times. He does it for me every single day. Well, then I have to shift. I have to mutate it so that it can still be a version of itself and be true. So when it's proved wrong, it mutates into something like, well, nobody else. Okay, so Gideon does, but nobody else does. Or it will be like, well, people listen, but then they don't care. You see? The wound will always find a way to, it's kind of like a virus that learns how to mutate from having antibiotics. It'll keep mutating and mutating and mutating. So this is how we recognize that it's a wound, is that it is not healed by evidence. I can feel some of the minds shutting down right now, because again, this is something that doesn't want to be seen. You can know it's a wound when it doesn't heal from evidence. So I have had so many clients, right, tell me that nobody ever listens to them, that they've had no one they can tell their full story to. And then I listen to their full story. Truly, right? But that wound doesn't go away just from me listening. Because then I've heard it switch to, well, you got paid to do it, so it doesn't count. Or maybe you'll do it, but my mom doesn't do it. Or my husband won't do it, so it doesn't count. You see the mutation there? So this is how wound is different from our hearts, from our pure emotions. Because pure emotion just goes through us. Emotion is always flowing through our bodies all of the time. How many times in one day have you felt extreme joy and an hour later you're crying over something, and then later that night you're angry? Okay, and we're in a constant state of flowing emotion. But wound filters. Wound mutates. Wound does not pay attention to evidence. So where we're telling ourselves that we've hurt ourselves by being emotional, I just want to tell the truth about it. I want us to look at how we've actually gotten ourselves into situations that felt horrible by doing it from wound. And by doing that, we're feeding the wound. The wound gets to keep being present. It gets to keep being alive. It gets to keep being a story. It gets to keep being used as an excuse. And we're very hesitant to talk about this because, then it goes into some weird elements when people say, oh, you're victim shaming. No, there is no shame in this. Every single one of us has done this, probably multiple times over our lives. But the first step is to see it. The first step is to acknowledge, I have been acting from wound. Not from my heart, my love, my emotions, but from wound, from a story, from a belief system that is based in a lie, that is based in illusion. Because once you see it, you can start to unravel it. Now, this part we've done in other videos. Okay? That unraveling where if you need something, if your wound is there's something you're not getting, then you go get it. You give it to yourself, you get it in a healthy way, and then you notice where your wound starts to mutate and you say, no, I'm going to believe the evidence right in front of me that I am powerful and that I am able to heal. In the story, in the wounded story, what is missing? I'm going to go get that in whatever possible healthy way that I can. And then I am going to let that go. So people ask me all the time, how do I let a wound go? You fulfill on the need of it in the healthiest way possible. And then you are the one that has to declare that you are not living from that place anymore. There are lots and lots of signs that we're coming from wound. One is that we don't listen to the people around us, the people who love us the very most, who truly have our best interest at heart. I've seen people get married when every person in their life is begging them not to. Okay? Or another evidence that we're in wound is we're extremely defensive, that we are, it's almost like a stubborn, childish, I'm going to do this whether it's good for me or not. We don't care about if it's good for our future selves. We really, when we're in wound, we don't care at all about our future selves. That's my way of knowing I'm in wound. Where is my future self in this? Because if I don't care about her, then I'm definitely coming from wound. So here's the thing. This is a big subject. This is kind of a heavy subject. And so it's not going to be done in one video. But I really, really wanted to introduce this idea because we will be talking about it more in the future. We will be breaking it down even more. But in the meantime, I just want you to be able to feel into the difference between emotion and wound. Okay? So here's my question for the day for whoever is willing to answer this. Where are you ignoring the evidence? Where is evidence not having any effect for you? It's not healing you. It's almost like there is something unhealable in you, no matter what happens, no matter how many times your husband tells you how much he loves you, no matter how many times your friends are there for you, no matter how many times your, mom tells you she's sorry or whatever, it never heals. What is that for you so that you can start to see it? And little by little, we're going to release it, okay? We're going to honor it to the point where we give it what it needs, and then we are going to shift the context. We're going to shift that filter. Because aren't you I'm so sick of mine. I'm so sick of mine. And I've had some pretty awesome epiphanies around it. But the one biggest epiphany I've had is seeing it mutate and catching it. Catch that streaker, right? Remember the video of the streaker? I refer to it all the time. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch the video, the streak. I think it's called Catching the Streakers. That thought that just goes across your mind. Oh, but, and then way to invalidate the evidence. Okay, so pay attention. I love you guys so much, and we will revisit this and go deeper into it. May your coffee be strong and your life be blessed.